So do you have some prompts or we just gonna I'll hand it over to you?
I was just gonna kind of like freestyle, yeah. I'm here with Chris, give a backstory on what this project has been about, Chris's vision, and how he brought it to life.
The name of the show was Tembo Milele, which is Swahili for Elephants Forever. It was a performance for the Elephant Corporation, a nonprofit organization. I'd asked for submissions for entertainers who could capture the theme of past, present, and future. And so I submitted to them a proposal to tell a story of elephants and the experiences of elephants and their interactions with humans, how it was in the past, how it is now, and what it could be like in the future. I've been doing creative work like this for a long time, but not necessarily this specific kind. When this project came up, it was exciting to be able to be part of something that benefits wildlife. They asked for a mood board, and
Right.
that was kind of the starting point. And so as I was thinking about what they want to do and what they had shared with me, I worked with Angela, one of my colleagues. She was doing the costume design. I had a really good idea about the past and the present, and so I and I collaborated on the future. She had some sketches based on what I'd explained to her, and so we
Mhm.
came up with a mood board that I think resonated with.
It's this poem
Mhm.
from, was it Angela?
Yes.
Was being
Yeah.
so kind of what is something that people can like get from that poem and kind of the message that that was trying to portray?
Yeah.
What
No.
correlated
That,
to it?
yeah. That's a good question. And first of all, it kind of starts in talking about my elephant. Is kind of how she starts off the poem, talking about my lovely temple. So this kind of personalization of the elephant, I felt like was really good for us, for anyone, the audience, for me. Like I felt even more connected to the elephant. The whole process lasted a month or less, which I feel like was really short and a lot to do in that time frame. But soon after I knew that I was going to do this, I talked to Angela. I told her what I was doing. I always try and collaborate with people as part of my creative process. I feel like I learn a lot from people, and I know she does spoken word. So I
Mhm.
was just telling her what I was doing, and then she said, "Oh, I could do spoken word for that." And then we didn't really connect about it until maybe less than a week before the event is when she sent me the poem.
What was your favorite part of the whole process and even the show, like when you were there actually doing it?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Um, I think for me, there's several things, but I know what I feel when I do something creative and tell a story that's authentic. And it's this being present, doing something that you don't know how it's going. It's not a guarantee. I say it's like you don't have a recipe. You're like cooking or making this creation, and you feel like you have all the elements, but it's not been made before, so you don't know how it will all come together. So there's this anticipation, but also I think the collaboration. And I worked with several different artists. I think we were about 15 in total at the end, and
Mm,
these two different dance groups that are separate from me. One is Liz Watson Co. The name is going to come to
other
me.
people.
Uh, Ballet Dembaya. I
Mm,
should forget that. So, but they're very different groups. Ballet Dembaya is a very accomplished group, and I'm really happy they could be part of it. But Liz, who runs Liz Watson Co., had just come from the Serengeti where she had seen elephants. So she was like completely on board in terms of the story we're trying to tell. So for me, just the connection, the synergy, and seeing people who are committed to their craft, but
mm.
also who share their talent generously and are not holding back with their performance or what have you. That's I think what I enjoyed the most. So seeing people smile, seeing people uh, embrace and accept what we're sharing. I think that ability of like connecting our humanity, that's really what I like the most.
It made the whole process so much easier. and more fun. Everyone was smiling, everyone was
Right,
having fun the whole time.
right, right.
How was like that whole process of like executing that, like
Man.
creative directing, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really a lot of fun. It was not easy. It helps that I've been in this space for a while, and I've put together dance events in the past, but I also follow a lot of dancers. And so I have a sense of, so I had in my vision, in my mind, what I wanted to accomplish.
Mm,
And I wasn't sure of all the exact pieces, but I knew who I wanted to work with. I worked with Liz before, so that part was really straightforward. Getting the dance profile and professionalism that we need there. I've seen Ballet Dembaya. I've actually worked with them before. So in terms of, hey, this is the past, this is the present, this is the future, that part was straightforward. But the music selection was not an easy process. Like I went through easily like more than 100 songs.
mm,
Think about, okay, what are we trying to say? How do we connect it? And also some of the requirements like would get updated as we're going in. So I kind of started off with this idea, and then it became important to have some kind of drumming. So that kind of changed the dynamic of what we're trying to tell. But a long time ago, I would say I did something a bit similar when I was a college student. And at
mm,
that time, it was self-directed, but I was doing something around cultural differences, so different communities. That was something that was on my mind, and I felt like I want to tell a story, say something about that. So I found some music that borrowed from different communities in Kenya, yeah,
mm,
and then created choreography with one of the top dancers in Kenya at the time, and I'd venture to say ever. His name's Ndegwa. He was one of the members of Suku's party. He was my neighbor and a good friend and a very talented choreographer. So I'd gone through a process like this before, where I have something in my mind, or this idea, or story I'm trying to tell, and then putting it together. But at that time, I did it solo. So the challenge with this was, I had the idea, I had an idea of the dancers, and then I had to convey it to them in a very short time. I had an idea of what they've done in the past that I liked, like Radi had met before once, and I've seen his work, and then NK, who I've known for a long time, and she's done several gigs. Like I had a lot of confidence in them. Like I knew they would do their part and do it
feel
amazing.
it.
Yeah. So the thing was, energetically though, we had to complement each other so that the story flows and transitions and kind of has these like uh, peaks and valleys and kind of upward crescent and upward ascent, I should say. Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because, like, I listen to a lot of music. My older sister Doreen listens to a lot of music, and she sends me a lot of music. And in this process, one of the people I worked most closely with was my younger sister Anita, and
Mm,
she actually did all the shopping for the costumes. She worked with the vendors there and gave the specifics, and so she would have to get limited information from me and figure out how to make it bigger there. But also some of the music she suggested, like the specific music, when I would give her the idea. So we work together in creative spaces. She's a very creative person, and so
mm,
I think I was fortunate to be able to go back and forth with her regularly as kind of as I was building the ideas, and particularly that connection. And she's the one who actually found a contact to recite the poem. So yeah, I just want to give a shout out to my sister Anita. Yeah, the venue was amazing. The organization they had worked with AK Johnston to kind of set up and do that. You felt transported once you were there. It's like you were in a different place. And
right.
so, yeah, that I think even added up to the hype and the energy. I know when we were getting ready to go up and perform, like just all the dancers were like really, animated and hyped up. So
Were you nervous?
yeah, I always when you're going to share something, sometimes I do public speaking, or if I'm going to dance, um, you know, the anticipation. I think there's good nervousness because then it
Yeah.
heightens your senses so that you go out and perform. So, and in this case for me, it was hard because like I was thinking about the entire thing and also about the specific thing. So I don't know, maybe in the future I might sit out the dance and just worry about the bigger thing. But I know I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the dancing part as well.
Somewhere at the end of the video, there was kind of like the behind the scenes shots of you having the post show talk and kind of the rundown of everything that happened. You were mentioning uh you guys like, oh, next place we're gonna go is Africa, and you've also talked about this with me, kind of like an idea of a bigger project or bigger ways that you can bring this about. So kind of what do you see for the future in this project, or what do you want to see this going? Is
Yeah,
there
no,
any ideas you have there?
yeah, that's a great question. For sure, you know, I think doing something with this in Africa would be amazing, would be an amazing opportunity in Kenya. You know, there's there's something, man, I'm even feeling like I'm in Kenya right now, but like when you're engaging or what do you call it, performing for different audiences in different parts of the world, which I have, you get different feedback. And
Right.
so that's one of the things that I know, like if you're in Kenya, like based on what you give, you get that right back, from the audience. And you can have this story that's back and forth and back and forth. So that would be, I think, really exciting. One of the things, and Bontu played a key role in this behind the scenes, making sure things work and run. And Hannye and I were talking about, the importance of, creating opportunities for African artists and entrepreneurs. And that was one of the best things for me about this project is, it created opportunities for, the costume makers in Kenya, the weave designers who are from in Oloitoktok, from the Maasai community. And so the impact of creative arts, the economic impact is real. And that's something I'd like to see happen to give more artists opportunities to express themselves and to tell their stories. For I think most of us, I went to high school in Kenya, and part of the process there is you're part of this drama festival or music festival where you kind of build up your skills and get better. And there are many, many really amazing and talented artists. So I'd like to be able to see a platform created for them to be able to advance their skills and to be able to tell their stories. And I think that's part of what was fun about this whole thing is we were telling a story and we're telling it in our own way, right? And so in terms of what's next, I think for sure an event in Africa would be great. I host a festival, I think like I mentioned before, called it Pamoja Sana recently, which means together in the arts. And the last time I did it was a virtual event, I think it was 2021 maybe. And we were talking about arts entrepreneurship. So we had a panel talking about entrepreneurship, but we also had artists from Angola, from Canada, from Kenya, talking and arts entrepreneurs as well, talking about what they're trying to do to build out their creative process and their creative journey. So in my vision, I see more collaboration between these artists, and I think more of a scaffolding, like looking to get funding that can sustain artists. That's one of the things that's challenging about being an arts entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur and you're selling, I don't know, phones or
Mm.
what have you, right? Like that's it. You're selling that's it. But if you're an arts entrepreneur, what you're sharing is part of you. So you can't just switch and start selling something different, right? And so that makes it challenging and makes it time. It takes time to hone your craft, to get better and make mistakes along the way. But there's this balance of being able to own your creative process, but also manage it in a way. And I think there's a lot of learning that needs to happen there for both artists and entrepreneurs. But I think I'd like to see more collaboration between artists and entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
creating things that are, and in this age of technology and AI and that kind of thing, I think we need more of these moments of human collaboration, human insight. And those shared moments, I think, are the ones that tell us, I see you, I see your humanity, I see where you're coming from. And when we can see one another like that, then we can work through any kinds of challenges.
Definitely, you touched a spot on that.
First of all, I think when I think about this journey, one of the things I'm always reminded when I'm in my creative space is my high school Swahili teacher, Mr. Mwangi. My folks have always been supportive of me in what I do, including my sisters, in listening to the ideas that I have and things that I've done in the past. And so I think that in general, and my friends, one of my good friends, Victor, was always be able to kind of sit back and objectively kind of listen to some of the ideas that I have around creativity and provide that feedback. And my earlier collaborators, when I started learning choreography, or Peter and Tevin, and when I think about what I'd like to see happen is to anyway, I'll talk about this a long time because, but in some ways, like the process I was going through in the choreography, creating choreography. For me, it's like the same thing you do if you're coding or if you're drafting like some engineering thing. Like it's a creative process. And I don't know about you or like other people, but there's just not many places where you go and learn how to go through the creative process. And so for me, I think that's something I'm really passionate about. I really want to get going. But in terms of the people who were there with me through this journey, for sure, Skylar, I'll start with Susan, who was in Kenya, who connected me with Elephant Corporation. Skylar was kind of listening and very good at giving direct feedback about what we wanted and what they wanted. And then my sister Anita, I already mentioned, working with Ballet Dembaya, which is a very accomplished group, like I said, who were willing to work with us, even though they had a really busy schedule. What they do, I think we're fortunate in Southern California to just have a group like that has really deep roots and, is so committed to honing their craft. Liz from Liz Watson Co., I worked with her before and looking forward to working together again, and all the dancers who she always brings. I think this time Hart, Stephanie on there, Jose, Janet, for sure. My Kenyan brother, Basil, did a great job for sure. And then, like I said, Bontu, behind the scenes, having worked with me in different settings, that, there's a balance, as you saw, Hennye, and I also want to thank you for your part in this, right? There's a part of, and this is one of the things I really enjoy about doing creative work. Like there's a part of it where you're thinking and you're conceptualizing, and there's a part of it where you have to now do it. And a couple of times during our rehearsal, like the music timing was kind of, I don't know, something happened to it. I don't know what it was, but you were able to like fix it like right away, and then enable us to continue with our rehearsal. And Angela also, who did the costume design. I thought the costumes were great.
Amazing.
Yeah, us guys had some challenges getting into the costumes the day of, but that's neither here nor there. And then Lydia is the one who recited the poem, and she had such a short notice to do it. I think she probably had maybe 1 or 2 takes, and I feel like that was the thing that brought everything together in terms of the music and the choreography and the story. So the story we're looking to tell, I think we started off in some ways. For me, I see this as a start,
Right.
not necessarily as the end of something. And yeah, I think more young people should be, not just young, but I think anybody.
Even like with creating something like that, the whole process before, kind of the struggles and all the time you have and time you take to do all these little details and stuff, it might seem like a lot, but overall at the end, the result, when it comes all together and the vision is there, it's the most refreshing thing.
But one of the things, when you think about telling like an authentic story, that's one of the things I know I was kind of trying to find a balance, is like when you doing something creatively, you want to get it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yet you're kind of representing an imperfect world, right? And so if you do it too perfectly, you kind of lose the flavor from the real world you're representing. And so that's something I felt like was a tension of like how you don't want to over choreograph what you're doing if you're telling a story about uh, something that's happening in Africa. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
to say that there aren't aspects of it, but for what we were trying to tell, about elephants, it's something in nature. So you want to have much more like natural movements and much more natural dynamic between the artists. And the more complicated you make the choreography, the more people are in their heads as opposed to, unless they have like a whole bunch of time.
Thank you, Chris, again for taking the time. And I'm really excited to see, everyone to see the, videos and also just like the overall vision that we had and, what went down. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Sam.